Good afternoon and welcome to NYCryptoTalk. Today's project review is on one that I have been meaning to do for quite a while now. It is Elastos. Elastos is building a universal P2P network on the blockchain, basically building a decentralized network-oriented OS where dApps can be built on top of. So you ask, what does this mean? Basically, they are building a platform on the blockchain that will allow for dApps to mainly be run. So you think about Bitcoin, where there is basically a trust network, and then you have Ethereum, where there's a trust network plus smart contracts. Elastos basically wants to go further into that, where there's smart contracts, dApps, all of that built on the trust layer. Core software that they've been building for 17 years, which they have gotten a lot of FUD and a lot of grief over, but they understand that, they understand that they never delivered the project that they initially wanted to do, which was a operating system, just a standard operating system like one of Microsoft or of Apple. Now they feel the time is right for the decentralized OS to be built off the Elastos platform. So they want to be able to remove players such as Skype, data information that can be sold on things like Amazon's book publishing, so ebooks and things along those lines. They want to be able to corner the car market. So there's a lot of things that can be done with the project, and I'll kind of dig deeper into what I feel they have really going for them as a project. Going to their website, if you see, there is a little intro video, there's a white paper, there's the GitHub. Today's discussion, I'm not going to go too much details into their white paper because it has been an ongoing project. I did find some snippets on the white paper that I like that I will kind of review. It's kind of their core vision of the project. They stand by a couple of points, and these are their mantra of the project. So, safety, intelligence, wealth, and credit. Applications for safety are forbidden from directly accessing the network. The Elastos Operation Library provides end-to-end solutions. So this is the trust network. Intelligence, totally decentralized P2P economic infrastructure reduces the need for humans as intermediaries. Wealth, Elastos authenticates digital rights, transfers contracts, and turns digital information into assets through blockchain technology. And credit, in the absence of intermediaries, individuals, stores, IoT devices, and commodity logos are unforgeable. So they're basically building a decentralized platform for all things P2P. Going into their roadmap, if you guys have not heard the news, they do have their blockchain up and running. Their mainnet is alive. It's not like we're waiting for any mainnet to be live on the project. So that is always a good thing. Right now they are actually demoing and showing, which I'll have a couple of clips, as well as an article on their actual blockchain. They have ported their OS already to different devices, one to an Android device. They also have an app that was built on, or at least they did a teaser on iOS. So it's very cool how they're decentralizing it. They have two different ways of modeling their actual apps. One is through the actual main OS, which is like the replacement of Android or iOS, or a dApp that can be built on top of an existing platform, i.e. iOS. So they can actually have the Elastos platform on iOS devices. So here in April 2018, not to get, going to tangents, interface specifications supported by smart contract and sidechains will be published. June, the Elastos ID service chain open beta will be published open source, supporting multi-layered identity verification. July, large-scale applications and projects which dock financial, big data services, and medical insurance will begin. These are ongoing projects. August 2018, the framework for mobile web applications will be published open source, contributing to Elastos application ecology. And December, the mining of Elastos chain and Elastos ID chain will be by external nodes will be open accessible. So right now the mainnet is available, but mining is not. As many of you guys are aware, I am a big Neo fan, but they do have a strategic collaboration to work together. So I always feel anybody who collaborates with Neo has an upper hand because of their main ideas and their ideology, and they just have a great project with a huge community behind it, a great leader to Hangfei. So obviously the Neo collaboration is a huge piece of the pie when it comes to the Elastos project, in my personal opinion. If you're not aware, Elastos just announced their actual circulating supply. It was something that was not known before, and it wasn't published on CoinMarketCap. So they did just release the actual circulating supply and how the total supply is worked out. I love how they were actually able to get down to the exact calculation, because a lot of projects, it's very confusing. They actually even give you the addresses where they're locked, which I think is fantastic. So they're a little under 5 million tokens for their circulating supply. They do have a lockup mechanism, and they have quite a few that are locked up. Almost 2.5 million have been locked up, and these are dividend related lockups that individuals can donate to. It was back in February where this could have been done, and a lot of people are locked up into their tokens for 1, 2, 3 years, and they get paid dividends every year. So it's a great project on being able to do the lockup. I'm very keen on that. I think doing a lockup is an incentive. It makes people want to keep their tokens. It keeps the circulating supply low and the demand high. So this is their token mechanism for the position locking and the return plan. As I mentioned, they locked it up back in February. You had to have at least 300 ELA tokens, and I believe increments of 100. And basically, yeah, increments of 100. And it's a 3-year lockup period, and every year you get more percent every year. For the first year, you get 4%, then 5%, and 6%. For each year. So it's very cool, and you can cancel it with the cancellation fee of about 1%. So hopefully people keep it locked up. As I mentioned before, the two ways that Elastos works with their actual OS is one through the dApp method and one through the virtual machine method. The dApp is actually been teased here on the iOS device on March 18th, so very cool that they can actually run Elastos OS through the dApp method. Another great piece of news was that they actually got a investment from Passport Capital, and Passport Capital has been investing in a lot of funds. They have $5 billion under their management, so very cool that they're actually getting backed by a large investment company. Elastos also met with some of the Wall Street people down at JP Morgan, the chief economist, Jim Glassman. So obviously getting big business, Wall Street money, or just interest into the project is very cool. So Elastos did check out with JP Morgan. And the Elastos OS on Android, as I mentioned before, they did actually port it. And this is actually a great video, and it's on TI South Africa. And this is a short clip of them running, I'm going to mute it, the actual Elastos OS directly on the phone, and is built-in integrated. They ported it to C++, and this is just really cool, I think, in my own personal opinion. So they're actually able to run things on top of their OS. Also great news, ELA was accepted as a payment method on a commercial airline industry. So getting into the real world, they actually partnered with airline Far Eastern Air Transport, and they are now going to be accepting payments of Elastos through their whole model, their whole business model. So weekly updates, if you're not on their Medium page, definitely check it out, because they'll talk about the different things that they've just announced in the week. So the circulating supply, which I talked about, they have technical updates, community updates, the events that are upcoming, a lot of events that are upcoming, and then just articles, thoughts, and conclusions. So definitely check out their Medium page. They are very active. This is just kind of a Medium page about the blockchain dApp on the go, and it kind of explains the 3 different layers of Elastos. One is the top layer, which is the dApp, which is the developer-built apps that will be front-facing for the individuals utilizing them. The Elastos framework, which basically links the actual OS to the blockchain itself. and then the blockchain cluster, which is the main and side chains of Elastos. Going to the native app is basically what I was talking about before. A native app refers to apps that can run independently on OS, such as iOS and Android. By embedding Elastos SDK in the app, it enables dApp to visit the blockchain and have the capabilities and features provided by the blockchain. An H5 app refers to apps combined with JS, HTML, CSS, UI. It runs within Elastos virtual machine. So the features of the blockchain have already been built in H5 app's operating environment, which is Elastos Runtime. They can be used directly. Besides, within the virtual machine, the digital assets registered on the blockchain will also be properly detected. So even dApp and its users will face restrictions when they want to import or export digital assets, which I'm not too sure about how that works. But as you can see here, this is the Elastos framework. This is the top layer, which is the native dApp or the Elastos virtual machine. And here's another great piece of news. The deputy director of the Central Research Institute of Huawei actually visited the office of Elastos, and they are going to be in communication. There's no real partnership announced right now, but they do believe in the project, and news to come. Potential cooperation between the two would be fantastic because Huawei is one of the biggest electronics manufacturers in the world. Auto Giant's new blockchain game. So this is the coolest news, I think, all week of Elastos. Basically, the Shanghai Automotive Group, the largest automobile manufacturer in China, commissioned the Elastos team to implement Elastos applications on the central control system of their platform. And basically through Elastos, they and the blockchain, they were able to build a subsystem in the vehicle that will be connected and controlled. So as most of you know, most new car manufacturers nowadays have their own operating system for their actual control panels, for their instruments, for their clusters. From Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Ford, all these major manufacturers have their own. Like Ford has Ford Sync, and basically it can interact with the user, the computer, all the technical information. So basically what Elastos built was a working model of that within a car, a model RV car, RC car, and they were able to actually control it through their platform. So they had different things from their car camera app and the actual smart driver services. So they built this all on top of their framework, and they were able to actually control it with multiple different devices. So they were able to have the toy car on a Raspberry Pi. They had a Linux laptop running Ubuntu. They had a pad that was running an Android operating system and a phone running Android as well. And they were able to actually use the Texas Instruments display and control this RV car and work off their platform. So it was really cool. I didn't see a video of it, but just this article itself on how they were able to integrate a Raspberry Pi on their platform as well as the Android and other devices. So if you guys haven't read this, I'll link this in the description below because I think this is just a really cool idea. And if they were able to get into the smart car industry and they have a working prototype, I think that's just really cool. So going back to the project itself and kind of the goals of it and what they want to be able to attain, just to kind of make it as easy as possible to understand, I'm just going to jump to the white paper, and they have one section that I just think is simple, easy, and you can understand it as far as what they want to be able to do. So their vision was to develop an open source, lightweight operating system for virtual machines. And in 2017, they were able to integrate this vision, and this is what they came up with. Their smart web is composed of 4 pillars. The blockchain, which is basically the decentralized core of the smart web, where each device individual website has a trustworthy ID. This is their unique DID. And the blockchain technology enables the establishment of trust on the internet. Their runtime. Runtime is a lightweight operating system that prevents applications and services from directly accessing the internet. Elastos Runtime runs on a customer's mobile device or PC. So this is basically their dApp. Their Elastos Carrier is a completely decentralized P2P platform. This carrier takes over all the network traffic between the virtual machines and conveys information on the application's behalf. So this is the interface where the information is being translated. And then their SDK, which is applications need the SDK to access their IDs and the Elastos Carrier service on the smart web. And then here's where you see what their features is for the project. I'm not going to go through all of them, but it is simple, public chain, and hidden from third-party applications and services is where the blocking comes in. It allows for side chains to be built on top of the platform. The main item that they kind of talk about a lot in articles and interviews is property rights of digital content. So this is where I mentioned Amazon's ebook, being able to own and make sure that these smart contracts are delivering electronic information and securing it so that it can't be pirated or transferred to other devices. Next is the Elastos Runtime, which is the operating system of the customer's mobile devices, and they are free to run on different devices or be built into the virtual machine. And then they talk about the non-Elastos apps, such as Android or iOS apps, which can also be available through the Elastos Smart Web and the SDK. So they can actually utilize non-Elastos apps through their devices as well. So with the platform, there will be two types of storage. One is the public storage, which is the directory, the apps, and where the user can access the information. The second is going to be personal storage, such as your personal information, and that will all go through the Elastos personal cloud disk. They will be working with an IPFS such as Kawaya, and that will be the public storage of the network computing model, and that will be part of the network computing model of Elastos OS. So it's really cool to think about how the project is, how it's been built for 17 years. It has 20 million lines of code. I know the project has been kind of knocked for that, but they do have something working right now with blockchain. You know, don't go into historical, because there's past history doesn't mean anything for the future moving forward. Just think about it as what it's going to do now with the blockchain, what opportunities it has, what investors it has. Elastos has a great team. If you actually look at who's involved with the project, Rong Chen is the mastermind behind the project, and he is the chief architect, basically. He's the one who's out there talking about the project. Basically, this is his baby. And Feng Han is the co-founder as well, and he is an advisor at Huawei, obviously, where they have that great business partnership that could happen eventually down the road. And look at this, independent director and founder and CEO of NEO. I think we all know Da Hongfei. So obviously that is a great thing to know. And Jihan Wu, if you guys are not familiar, he is the CEO at Bitmain. So a lot of great people behind the project. Currently, Elastos can be found on Huobi, BCEX, and their current market cap is about $160 million with a 5 million circulating supply. Currently priced at around $31, and they have dropped down. Earlier this week they were around $25 before the news of the circulating supply came out, and I think the price just started jumping up because of that. But if you actually look at the all-time high of the project, they were almost at $90. I think the ICO was give or take $50, a little under $50. So right now you'd be getting it under ICO price. They have a very strong team, very strong project, working models, proof of concept, which I think is fantastic. Always a big thing for me. They have a great group of investors. They have some partnerships that might be upcoming. They have partnerships that they've already confirmed. They're very outspoken. They're at a lot of events. Hopefully there's one in May that I might actually do a meetup in here in New York City. So more information to come on the project. I would love to reach out to the CEO and, talk to him, pick his brain on the project. We'll see if I can try to get that done, because Elastos is definitely here to stay, and definitely something that you should all do your own research on. This is not financial advice. This is just some guy talking to people on YouTube who are interested in my channel. So hope you guys like this. Subscribe. Shoot me a comment below. Let me know what you think of the project. I'd love to hear you guys' comments. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks again for watching.